Hey there, my name's Evan. Nice to meet you. You could have shaken back. Is that much to ask? Anyway, today we're doing an Ask Reddit thread on what should people avoid while traveling through Europe. Now, I have visited a lot of countries in Europe. This is my Bean app. I've been quite a lot. Now, hopefully I've not made any of these mistakes on Reddit. We shall see. For those interested in watching the video where I take my mom around Scotland, part 1 is now up on my second channel, so go check that out if you wish. And my Amsterdam vlog is coming probably next week. Hooray! Otherwise, let's start off. Number 1, what's something you should avoid doing while traveling in Europe? Don't rent a car if you're going to stay in a major capital. It's not worth it. It's much better to use public transport and get an occasional Uber. Absolutely. There's a reason this is the most upvoted comment. You really shouldn't be thinking in terms of cars. If you're from America, you might be thinking natively in how to get places. For instance, if you're an American traveling to Florida, you get out of the airport, you realize there's literally no way off of that hellscape of MCO without a car or a taxi. In Europe, it's quite a bit different, especially if you're in a major capital. Pretty much every major European capital has good public transit that you can use to get around the city, from the airport and anywhere else you want to go. 99 times out of 100, I would just say get public transport as opposed to an Uber or some sort of cab. That was actually one of the big tourist mistakes that I talked about in my video on top mistakes that tourists make when they're in London, just because it takes so much longer to get around a city that has very bad traffic problems compared to going underground. That being said, when I went to Amsterdam last month, I literally only used public transport, the tram, 2 times because I rented a bike and just used that everywhere because that is just, it's like playing a video game, except it's life. It's just so much more enjoyable than any of the other options. If you're someone that's really used to a car, it's so freeing not to have to use one for once. So I would just say, take the opportunity to avoid using car infrastructure and just run with it, pun intended. I wouldn't necessarily recommend running though. What, you think you can steal my autofocus? What is this? Hello? We're not an eye. Stop it. Camera thinks that my water bottle has eyes. Next up, in major cities, don't let anyone hand you anything such as flowers or whatever. Yes, oh my God, this is a huge one. Once it is in your hands, they start asking for money. They even gave a flower to one of my kids and then wouldn't take it back. Just set it on the ground and walk away. This is a really huge thing, especially if you're in really touristy areas. I know in London, if you're anywhere near Leicester Square, people will come up to you and they'll just give you a flower. The second that hits your hands and you clasp it, they immediately demand money, and they're going to chase you and follow you to make you feel guilty and scared until you give them whatever they ask for. Just do not accept anything from strangers. There's like a 99.9% chance there's some sort of ulterior motive, or they're promoting some really bad comedy club down the road. Either way, you probably don't want to go. Falling in canals and walking through cyclist paths if they come to the Netherlands. Yes, I mean, luckily I've never actually fallen in a canal despite the amount of places I visited while in the Netherlands recently, but my mom definitely got hit by a cyclist. There are so many cycles all around. You really just need to be hyper aware. Are you on a footpath or are you on a cycle path? Cycle paths, man, once you're on a bicycle, you feel so powerful. Now, you are above everybody else, but you do not walk through a cycle path without looking both ways. It's pretty much the same rules for a road. Look both ways, except if you don't in this regard, you're not only going to potentially hurt yourself, but also a lot of other people. So just don't cross bicycle paths without looking. Someone then says, what country should I go to if I want to fall in canals? And we have Bristol in the UK. The pusher is always watching. I don't get that reference. What should you avoid while traveling in Europe? We have street scammers in Paris. Anywhere, really. Yeah, if you see someone doing some sort of cool magic trick or people are throwing money down like, oh, it's the cup trick, like 99.9999% of those things are literally just scams to get tourists to think they can win, and they really just take your money. If it seems too good to be true, guys, come on. Don't be stupid. Why don't we have that type of thing in the US, I wonder? Like, I don't really see that type of scamming happen in too many American cities, and I've been to quite a few. Should be obvious, but I'll say it anyway. Don't do the Hitler salute while in Germany. Not even as a joke. It's illegal, okay? And Holocaust denial is illegal in 18 European countries. I mean, we should throw out there that you probably shouldn't do the Hitler salute no matter where you travel to, or if you're not traveling, we'll just throw that out there. But also, if you do, it is illegal, so hopefully you get your comeuppance. Some things that really shouldn't have to be said. All right, other parts of Europe you should avoid: going to restaurants in touristy areas that have signs out front with pictures of the meals and the price featured prominently. Yeah, that is another one of my big mistakes that tourists make in my London video, just because, not necessarily about the pictures in the front, but look at the language they're using. Does it look like they're appealing to you as a tourist or to just normal people? Like in London when they say, great British fish and chips and pies served here. The best around. Listen, Londoners do like their fish and chips. But we know which pubs to go to. We're not looking at signs with pictures of fish and chips. So yeah, probably don't go for those. This is my pro tip as someone who does travel a lot. Walk around the city, and when you see a place that you kind of like the vibe of, you're like, maybe this restaurant's nice, just open it up and look at the Google reviews, and then you can see the pictures there, see what the locals actually think, or if there are a lot of tourists that go. I find that that's usually my best bet, so I can feel serendipitous and, oh, I picked this place myself. And also, I know that it's not going to be like a hole-in-the-wall bad place. Be respectful of memorial places. Don't come with the idea to make selfies or similar. Inform yourself about the traditions of the country. Yeah, I feel like it's a good idea if you're gonna be visiting somewhere to do a little bit of research beforehand, to be like, oh, what are some common mistakes or common things that are done in this country, just to get a little bit more informed. I find that a good idea. In terms of memorial places, sometimes it's hard to know if something is a memorial or not. Maybe you're just taking a selfie at a place and then, oops, turns out, probably shouldn't have done that there. Case in point is the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, which I've seen so many people take selfies there when I visited, and then I've also seen lots of people have it as their Tinder profile pic. Nothing says red flags like selfie in the Holocaust Memorial. Lord. Next thing you should avoid in Europe, it's a deleted comment, but I'm fairly certain it said, do not put your wallet in your back pocket. You are very likely to be pickpocketed. I've never once put my wallet in my back pocket. I don't know why people would do that. That's where you sit, it hurts. I've always used front right pocket for safety. Then again, these days, whether in London or traveling, I really don't have any reason to bring my wallet with me unless I'm in a country like Germany that still really enjoys cash. I'm just going to be using Apple Pay for almost everything. I don't really feel like the need to bring a wallet, especially because you're just at a more risk of someone stealing lots of cards that are going to be annoying to get back, and your IDs. Not a fan. If you're from the US and don't sign up for the bullshit $10 a day international service with Verizon or other service providers, nearly any airport you arrive at will have a place where you can buy a SIM card to put in your phone at a fraction of the price. For instance, I once got a SIM card in Seville, Spain for something like 12 euros, and it came with a month of service and 9 gigabytes of data. Yes, this is a really good piece of advice, and it doesn't matter if you have a new iPhone, which is eSIM only in the US, because a lot of providers in the UK and around Europe also have eSIM, so just do some research beforehand. Cell phone plans in the States are disgustingly expensive, and the fact that they charge $10 a day if you want to travel is grim. So just do not do that. Don't worry about it. Make sure you have an unlocked phone, first of all. I don't know how big locking your phone is these days still, but just make sure you have an unlocked phone. As soon as you get to the airport, you'll find SIMs, or just do a little bit of research beforehand. As pro tip, if you're coming to the UK, I highly recommend giffgaff for tourists. It's super cheap. It gives you lots of data. It's like £10 and that'll last you your whole trip. Giffgaff is what I started with when I first moved here, and it's great. Is it the fastest? No. Is it great? Yeah. Don't come around my gaff without the giffgaff. I'm on EE, because it's my initials. Don't use 3 though, they're rubbish, especially in London. As a big warning, if you're an American and you're on a network like Cricket, for instance, make sure you do all of this SIM card stuff beforehand, because when my mom visited, because she was with Cricket, they wouldn't let her put a SIM card from the UK in her phone, and they wouldn't let her use her Cricket SIM to do anything because she had to do that while in the States. They went, oh, you've already left? You're shit out of luck. Cricket. They're shit. LOL, top the list. Creepy dudes outside of airports trying to split cabs. Unless your dad's Liam Neeson. Yeah, maybe don't do that. Just use the public transit. Avoid speaking without exchanging greetings first, in France at least, and not responding in kind when someone greets you. In other words, exchange bonjours before you ask where the toilet is. Interesting. Man, I've definitely been a bad tourist in France then. I don't think that's the reason that the French people have always been mean, but maybe it is. I just gotta add a little bit more bonjour in there, in the most American accent possible. Bonsoir, mon amis, bonjours. Can I get the bathroom, the toilette? That's not French. Ooh, la toilette, bonjour, bonsoir. Clearly not good at French, but I actually understand quite a bit of Dutch now, just from the German proximity. That's nice. Can I understand it audibly? No. Can I understand it written? Yes. Don't think what goes for one country goes for all of them. There are all sorts of differences in cultures and laws. Oh, the amount of people that come to like the UK and think, oh, what do you mean? Don't you have X freedom that we have in the States? No, it's a different country. No. It is probably a good idea to understand the laws of the country you're visiting so you don't get wrapped up in any sort of political scandal. When I got off the plane in Brunei, there was a big sign greeting me that said, if you attempt to smuggle drugs into our country, your passport will not save you, you will be put to death. Okay. So anyway, then I started blasting. As an American who did this foolishly, American chain restaurants. I know people that will go to France, that will go to the Netherlands, that will go to Germany and go, oh my God, I went to McDonald's. It's so interesting and different. I understand the appeal, I guess, because it's like the same thing you're used to, but different, but God, that's depressing to me. I would definitely not want to get American fast food, except the European equivalent. Maybe once, if you've got a long trip and you're just super keen on the brand for some reason, sure. But probably try like real food. I'd avoid social media and watching TV the month before your trip and spend that time on Duolingo instead. Not sure where exactly you're going in Europe, but it'll help to know a few couple of phrases in the language. Yes, I highly recommend it. And if you want to have any pro tips, I literally have a 7-year streak and I've made a video of all of my pro tips on how to do the best with any language that you're learning. I did Finnish when I was in Tampere for like a week. And it was great. I got to learn a couple little expressions. I know German, Spanish, I did a little bit of Dutch, a little bit of Portuguese. It's also just really fun and it makes you able to connect to people that are there. And that just little bit really does add a lot. Coming over with a bunch of cash and using an exchange service to buy euros. Just use your debit or credit card everywhere. Yes, that is a huge tip. I know a lot of Americans still think you just bring a lot of cash. My mom was telling me like, how much cash should I bring? And I was like, none, just you don't need that. You can literally use debit for everything in the UK. Just do a little research on the country you're going to, but you're pretty much fine to use your debit or credit card. Make sure you get one with like 0% foreign transaction fees. I feel like a lot of them these days do that, so be safe. Or if you want to get them miles, use the Amex. I just dabbed and it's 2023 and I'm really sorry. This is actually a pretty good bit of advice here. I would recommend avoiding letting any tourist group plan your trip. You'll only see the most touristy stuff and everything that you eat will be insanely expensive. If you research enough, you can do well in Europe and eat for much less. When I went to the Netherlands the other day, I wanted to do a trip to visit some windmills, maybe visit Edam, where they make the cheese. But I booked one of those standard tourist bus trips and I think it's gonna be like the last type of thing I do like that. It's just not nice. You just kind of feel like shuffled everywhere, like, oh, hold up your camera, take the picture. And I was just like, I'd much rather just explore at my own pace, not be with a giant mob of people that, I don't know, I just really don't like the vibe. I always have a lot more fun doing the research on my own. And when I always think, oh, but wouldn't it be nice to have someone just tell me where to go and they just take me everywhere in a bus? I always go, no. That's actually not much nicer. Now this is part 1 of a 2-part series, with part 2 being what places in America should you definitely avoid. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get that into your feed a couple weeks from now. And special announcement, I'm starting my Twitch back up for just chatting. So be sure to check out my Discord in the description for news on when I start that back up. I will see you there to have some nice banter. Otherwise, I've linked my London tourist mistakes video here as it's literally one of the best videos I've ever made and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye.